Christopher is a 7th grade GATE student who has tested high in the areas of mathematics and language. He is an avid reader, and his parents both have high hopes for his success. However, Christopher often displays a lack of motivation when it comes to completing assignments. This is especially the case with writing assignments, where Christopher rarely turns in his work. He also doesn't like to work with peers on group assignments, and instead will opt to do the assignments on his own, taking on the work of many individuals as a result. So, a couple of things here. First, what can Christopher's teachers, especially his language arts teacher, do to motivate and engage him in lessons? Also, what areas of support does Christopher need his teachers to address? To begin, I'd like to discuss some strategies that Christopher's teachers can use. For one, teachers in all areas should come to understand three things about their students: their readiness, their interests, and their learning profile. Christopher is a gifted student in the areas of math and language. Thus, it's likely he will be ready to encounter some challenging material. However, if his interests are ignored in that process, simply providing him with more challenging material will not necessarily be productive. Rather, Christopher's teachers should work to get to know him better and find out what his interests are, then work to create individual and group assignments that will incorporate his interests, and modify the ways in which content is learned based on the aforementioned factors. This information can be gathered in a variety of ways. This includes surveys or student interest inventories, for example. There are a variety of ways to modify the ways in which GATE students such as Christopher experience content. According to the Davidson Institute, content can be modified through acceleration, compacting, variety, reorganization, flexible pacing, and the use of more advanced or complex concepts, abstractions, and materials. Christopher is described as enjoying reading. Thus, an effective way to engage Christopher may be to include reading material as much as possible that is engaging to Christopher. Furthermore, by using flexible groups, meaning groups paired up based on student interests, Christopher may work better with other students. By creating roles for students based on their interests, Christopher could be in charge of reading material out loud for his group, say, for example. A student's learning profile involves 4 elements: their learning style, that is, their preferred approach to learning, their intelligence preference, or rather their preference for learning and thinking, student's gender, and their cultural background. All of these elements should be considered by Christopher's teachers when working to create challenging and engaging material for Christopher to do. Finally, ensuring that the learning environment itself is inclusive for all students, including Christopher, will likely help all students engage in lessons daily. By finding out the best ways that students like Christopher's learn, teachers can work to create a classroom environment which is not too distracting or too boring for students, but rather supports student engagement.